So this happened at the end of Tim Walz's speech at the Democratic National Convention. This strange yank on his son's arm is trending on X, and people want to know what is this all about it, especially Walz's facial expression. So in terms of body language, we're going to make an analysis, we're taking a good look at this and see what's really going on. We have to look at the circumstances first, and something that most people are already aware of is that Tim Walz's son has a nonverbal learning disability. And just to understand the circumstances of his son, this affects a person's spatial visual skills. People with this nonverbal learning disability often struggle with visual spatial skills, such as reading maps, following directions, and social situations can also be difficult. Body language and some of the things we think about with day-to-day social norms, they may not be able to catch those. So in this regard, we could say that Tim Walz's son was really overwhelmed by the moment. I'm going to show you the full clip of what was happening at the end of his speech, when he was greeting his family that was watching him. And, well, there's the yank. We're going to see it in slow motion again. We're going to make a complete analysis of it and Tim Walz's expression right there. And then they pose for the photograph. And, okay, that's it. That's what we're going to look at today. First of all, some people... I'm going to reveal what was my first impression upon it. And it was a problem, a big problem that I see every time someone shares any kind of clip of any person on X or YouTube, is that the quality of the original clip that everybody's watching is rather low quality. So you should always go for the highest quality so you can make up all their facial expressions, all that is going on, and make sure that you're going to the source, right? So I went to YouTube and picked up the best quality video that I could find about this event. And I'm going to start in this case by Tim Walz's facial expression, which is one of the things that we tend to give more weight. And people are saying that, well, he was like angry, or he was yanking at his son with anger in some way, or he was somehow upset about all this. So taking a look at his facial expression, I'm going to say that the first time that I saw on those low quality videos, he looked quite upset, even angry, but in the low quality video. Here in a close-up, I'm going to go a bit closer, I could say that he doesn't look as angry as in those low quality videos. I wouldn't say that this is anger. Maybe he's not happy or smiling or anything, but it is not as angry as it is looking at a small screen at low quality video. It's not he's rather serious, maybe a bit upset, could we say? But I don't know. It's because we also have to take into account Tim Walz's regular face expression, and we could notice in those previous moments that he already had. Let's see, and we see some of his facial expressions. I have noticed that he had this. That is pretty much his way, his natural resting face. Let me see, just here. Like, for example, look at him right here for the photo op. Okay, right here for the photo op. You see that he has this pressed lips smile. And even if when he is smiling, and we have seen him in many other videos, he has this rather contradicting facial expression. Again, that is part of this body language. That's why you have to see things into context. Again, I have to make a disclaimer here. I don't like the guy. Many of you already know I am against Democrats are against what they stand for. I already made a couple of videos about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and they're going to be a mess. But we are looking at this from a pure body language perspective because I want to set some things straight right here. So in terms of body language, I would say that his facial expression was usual fare, is not that angry as we saw. But the problem is the YANK itself. Like, the YANK is what everybody, including me, we have a problem with. And we're gonna take a look at the YANK again a couple of times. Here it is. It's very strange. It's very harsh. Like, come here. And some people are making the argument that this could be that he was making sure that his son did not bump into the teleprompter. This thing right here, you can see it on the left side of the screen, the teleprompter, where you can read your speeches, where you have this your script for your speeches. They are physically there. They're going around the teleprompter, and we know that they were going around. Why? Because a very simple reason. We see Walz and his son walking behind it. Okay, you see that it is easy to see that his son is behind the teleprompter, but his daughter goes in front. That it's easy to see. She's in front after his son went behind. So the teleprompter was in the way. That's for sure. Now, the thing with Tim Walz allegedly making sure that his son did not bump into the teleprompter has two problems with this. Because if you see this frame by frame, let's see this frame by frame. Okay, here we go. Just frame by frame. You see that his son is actually going to avoid the teleprompter himself, like tilting his head a bit. Look how he begins to tilt his head before the YANK. The YANK has not begun again still, okay, but he is already tilting his head before the YANK. All right, and it's at that moment that the YANK starts. So I don't know if even we can make some kind of shadow of the teleprompter over the son. And yes, he was really close to it. I think we can make up a very slight shadow. But the fact is, that is my number one problem, is that the son was already aware of the teleprompter. But maybe Walz wanted to make sure that he didn't bump into the teleprompter, regardless if his son was already tilting his head to not bump into it. The second problem that I have is where Walz was looking at. You see that he's about to make the YANK, okay, and he's looking in this direction, like he is looking straight forward, and his son is a bit behind him. So unless he has like this spatial awareness, to be fair, many dads have that spatial awareness, and you know where your sons are, especially if you have a son with disabilities, like in his case. Maybe he is used to make sure that his son doesn't bump into things. Even if he's not looking at, he knows where the teleprompter is. That's something that dads do. You have seen those videos, funny videos in which dads make sure that their sons and daughters do not bump into things and hurt themselves. That could be it. But again, the way that he yanks his son that way, so it's so suspicious. And I don't know if it was that necessary. It was that necessary, especially when you know that you have a son with special needs. And we can confirm that the son was really overwhelmed for all this, for this really interesting gesture he does at the end, in which Walz goes to greet everyone beside his wife, and his sons look at his sister, and he goes and hugs her again in a very loving way. Okay, and there's another cue that I wanted to show you that happened right before this, is that his son really loves his dad. I want to point this out. Like, he really loves him because he was really delighted to hug his dad at that moment. There was no doubt about it. This cannot be faked. Like, you're the one, and he hugs him again, and there's an actual emotion in there. You cannot fake this. You simply cannot fake this. And he also looked at his mother like he's looking at her for the first time. Okay, so are all this displays of genuine emotion from his son, and that's what makes the contrast to that YANK so harsh. That's a problem that everyone has with that YANK. So out of place, so suspicious, we could say. And maybe we could also point out, I could also point out that in some outlets, in some versions of this video out there on YouTube, I noticed that they made sure to edit the YANK out. This was in from other angle. You see that we have other angle, and the YANK was edited out with this very open shot, the general shot, and then the photo up. It was just worth pointing out. But still, I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. My body language buddies, remember to download my free 100 body language tips in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. Much love and bliss.